In hip hop, it's hard enough to put together a dope beat. At the same time, it's hard enough to write a dope rhyme. But to be able to spit dope rhymes and make dope beats is a feat rarely accomplished successfully by many. I started thinking about some of the best in the game when it comes to hip hop producers who make beats and they rhyme. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The list of people, rappers, MCs, who also make beats in hip hop is not long at all. I can't even think of any new artists in hip hop out today who can do it. And I'm not referring to a beat producer who drops a rhyme once in a while like Dr. Dre, or an MC who sometimes makes beats like Inspectah Deck. I'm talking about full-time producers who rhyme just as much as they make beats. The people I'm talking about produce the beats for an entire album, then spit rhymes on the entire album. When you think about it, the concept is incredibly self-contained, self-sufficient. These artists don't have to wait for the beat maker or the MC. They are one and the same, and they do it all. I always admired anyone that could pull it off. In my opinion, the best to do it, to make beats and rhyme. The top three are Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest, Large Professor or Extra P, formerly of Main Source, and posthumously MF Doom. I can hear people now yelling and screaming, "What about Kanye West?" Kanye was dope when he first came out, but he went left a little while ago. And I'm not even referring to his hot takes or his political affiliations. His music just sounds weird now, and I don't consider it hip hop. Nonetheless, when he was making dope music, it was quite impressive for him to lace the tracks and spit on them. So I will give him an honorable mention, and maybe one day he'll get his shit together and make dope hip hop music again. I would also give an honorable mention to Havoc of Mobb Deep. He wasn't the main MC, and I'm not sure if he even wrote all his own rhymes. Assuming that he did, his rhymes were good enough, accompanied with the beats that he made for the duo, which were fire, incredible beats, that they made dope music. I wasn't even aware that Havoc did the beats for Mobb Deep until they were out for like over a year. Q-Tip did almost all the beats for A Tribe Called Quest from the very beginning, even though the production on every song is credited to A Tribe Called Quest as a collective. It wasn't until we watched the documentary that we found out that Tip did all the beats, but he didn't want to take all the credit. He gave us Footprints, Can I Kick It, Scenario, Electric Relaxation, Lyrics to Go, etc. And on every one of those, and on many more classic jams, he spit, if not dope, at least entertaining rhymes. So Q-Tip is at the top of the list of MC/producers. Large Professor, also known as Extra P, did most of the beats on the debut album Breaking Adam when he was in the group Main Source. To call them a group is somewhat misleading because Extra P did the beats and he rhymed. Meanwhile, they had two DJs. I love cutting and scratching, but how much Zigga Zigga does one need? It's like Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew with two DJs, Chill Will and Barry B. But I digress. Breaking Atoms is considered by some, including myself, to be a classic hip-hop album, among the best ever recorded. Large Professor did almost all of the beats, and he rhymed on every single song on the album. The group broke up, but Extra P has been doing beats for other people ever since. He dropped several solo albums that was dope. They just didn't get a lot of shine because he's not talking about selling dope or killing people in his songs. Admittedly, my favorite MC producer isn't even alive anymore. At least I don't think he is. But that would be MF Doom. An acquaintance turned me on to Doom back in like the early 2000s, and he introduced him by reminding me of the song Peach Fuzz back in the day. As soon as I heard Doom's voice, I recognized him from the group KMD from back in the day, with the gas face with third bass in them. Well, that was then, Without getting into the whole story, which is interesting as hell, Sevlove X came back as MF Doom, or Metal Face Doom, or Metal Fingers Doom. I'm not sure how much he was into making beats in the KMD days, but he came back with these crazy ass sounding beats that were still grounded with hip hop staples, but with wild and creative samples and unorthodox loops. MF Doom, as an artist, put together a whole storyline for himself based on a Marvel cartoon character, Dr. Doom, which he also samples from. Some argue and say Doom is whack on the mic. I rebuke that, although he is not the most lyrically gifted, he is adequate enough and his creativity takes him over the top. Listen to Super and tell me you're not impressed how Doom made the beat out of the beginning of the JJ Fad song, Supersonic, when Baby D is doing the beatbox, and he just let the word super be heard before layering the intro to Anita Baker's Sweet Love over it. Then on top of that, he had a nerve to write the rhyme or craft the rhyme to fit him rhyming words with the word super and let the sample fill it in. It's hard to explain. Just go listen to the song, hear for yourself, and you'll see what I mean. He did the same with a jam called Deep Fried Friends. He sampled the Friends beat from Houdini and layered it with the specific part of a jazz song that I remember from back in the 80s. Found out it was Ronnie Law's song called Friends and Strangers. If you're from the era or before, you know the song as soon as you hear the sample. You hear these samples and loops that Doom uses and find yourself asking why. What made him sample that part of that song? Familiar sounds, but so creative, so avant-garde, so cutting edge in the choice and in the placement of the samples. Just a side note, that's why I always defended sampling in hip-hop. If done correctly, it's like musical collage, a mosaic, like sonic clip art, comprised of existing material. Why when artists using other mediums do collage clip art, it's appropriate, it's okay. But when hip-hop does it in the form of sampling, it's stealing? Respectfully, in recent years, with the advent of computer beat programs, people are making beats on laptops and a lot of it sounds the same. At the same time, the bar or the standards for rappers or MCs is lower now, so the art is even more compromised. Nonetheless, you don't hear of many or any contemporary beat makers who also rhyme or spit lyrics anymore. If there is, and I just don't know or I overlooked them, let me know in the comments. 5,000.